But there we had the votes. And so far he has lost in his back home, which he declared, whichever way it goes, he has come back home. He said he has a lot to do.
Home is home.
But you gave some remarks on Sunday.
Yes.
Precisely on who blundered where. And you called out President William Ruto in certain areas. You're a diplomat.
Yes.
So you would know what would have been done better.
Yes. I tell you, as a Kenyan, I was hurting.
Okay.
And I still would wish to repeat, because that was a slap on the face. It goes to show the extent to which our country has lost face and recognition. I'll elaborate. We are known in the region as a country that is beholden to working towards peace and regional stability, because we live in a region which has been quite tough. Look at the entire Horn of Africa region, which includes Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia.
Yes.
Now, and of course the IGAD region. Our involvement in Somalia over the years, since the overthrow of Siad Barre in 1991. My own involvement as Minister for Foreign Affairs that time, including declaring myself a member of one of the Somali clans, Digli Merifli, because of the Hiyes, the Huyes, and the Darots. And even our involvement in Burundi that time. One time, President Kikwete and I, as foreign ministers, and Mwalimu Nyerere, were working on stability of Burundi, and then South Africans came into the scene. We tried to work. Of course, in 1994, after the genocide, literally in Rwanda, I was then foreign minister, when the whole world seemed to have left that country to perish, including the United Nations that time. Terrible mistakes were made. And then the country, even when people like Museveni were fighting to claim leadership of Uganda, Kenya was seen to be home to them. Museveni, I think, knows a lot of corners in this country. Now, imagine all of a sudden, somebody like BCJ is abducted. We are now known as a country of abductions, all right? That is terrible. And these are the terrible negative effect on the candidature of Raila Amolo Odinga.
All right.
Not to mention, of course, the fact that nearly a year ago, the Gen Z revolution, all right, which continues, by the way.
You actually called it a revolution.
It's a revolution.
All right.
And in my view, this is continuing. Because the issues that were raised a year ago have never been addressed. Instead of getting them addressed on transparency, good governance, stopping corruption, and all of that, instead of working on those issues, this administration, the William Ruto administration, resorted to abducting the young people, right? We put it rightly or wrongly, I think. I'm quite clear in my mind. Anybody who is on Safaricom, the young people on Safaricom, right, got that particular network provider got compromised by the state, and then young people were followed and put into the boots of Subarus, the famous Subarus. And even as we speak, that is a challenge. And nothing by way of addressing the concerns was ever discussed. Remember, sometimes they're saying maybe they will compensate the families, maybe they will try and do something. Nothing doing. Therefore, there is anger in the air. And even as the country moves towards June 25th, I call it J25.
All right.
June 25th, to mark the first anniversary of the Gen Z revolution, I think there'll be fireworks. Therefore, this revolution continues.
Now, besides the revolution, because I think we lost track there a bit, we were in the diplomatic, ties and what's happening. I'm holding just a copy of the Standard today, the Bold newspaper. And what
betrayed by Kenya.
This is
the
what
country
it is.
of abductions.
And
by the way,
yes,
against some of the international conventions. Remember, even before this time, Turks were apprehended. And the result of some of these things, by the way, had even international repercussions.
All right.
But let me just complete my thought.
Yes.
About what I was telling you about what may have affected Raila Odinga's candidature.
Right.
That this matter of abductions, the Gen Z revolution, and even now, tied to the Bisinji story, you have a situation which is even now ongoing, and it's very disturbing, when William Ruto allowed a group calling itself the River Congo Alliance at the Serena Hotel, one of our premier hotels, right? Complete with wonderful government reception, because nobody will come from the airport and go and get booked at the Serena Hotel without intelligence networks and all knowing. So this, although William Ruto said, oh, we are a democratic country,
well,
we cannot stop anybody from making statements, but I want to suggest, it is very clear that this was well planned with concurrence and facilitation of Kenya Kwanza administration. The result of that was that Kinshasa withdrew the ambassador to Kenya. All right? And our own ambassador, I think, was also asked to leave. And that hostility continued. I happen to know that President Felix Tshisekedi is a friend of Raila. And it got to a stage where Felix told Raila, I have no problem, you have my vote, but you're president.
Okay.
But you're president. So there are issues that are particular to William Ruto.
All right.
And that the effect of it is to lose our status as a country, as a bastion of peace and harmony, in order to facilitate conflict resolution. We worked, of course, for South Sudan.
And I was coming there.
South Sudan.
Yes.
We worked even for the Sudan itself.
All right.
I remember before we signed the comprehensive peace agreement in Nairobi in 2005, in order to get President al-Bashir to agree to the comprehensive peace agreement, popularly known as a CPA, I had to use all manner of diplomatic approaches. Some of it not the normal diplomatic approaches. I mean, you know, where you call ambassadors and high commissioners and drink tea and drink coffee and visit with them. We had to use all manner of approaches, including sending friends to talk to President Bouteflika, then President of Algeria, who agreed to talk to President al-Bashir in order to agree to allow the status of Khartoum. Khartoum now is a war zone.
As we speak.
Allow Khartoum, right, to be Sharia-free during the duration which we called the precursor to the referendum under the CPA.
All right.
Okay? So, and this worked, including, by the way, inviting Ali Osman Taha, the then vice president, under Bashir, to come to attend ostensibly the funeral of our late brother, Kijana Wamalwa, who died. And I was not a vice president, but I invited him in writing to come. The plan was, if our brother, Dr. John Garang, failed to show up in Nairobi, all right, then in order to cover up President Bashir's concerns, his vice president was going to represent him in the state funeral of Vice President Kijana Wamalwa. So you use those tactics.
Yes.
But this current administration has absolutely no knowledge of some of these things. But worse, the cardinal principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, including neighboring states. They seem to have forgotten and ignored that completely. Now, as we speak, Dagalo, Hemeti is in Nairobi, and they are here to sign an agreement to establish a parallel government to the one led by General Buran. What does that mean? Direct interference